You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rhodes and I'm joined this morning just about by Ashley Preece. Ash, how are you?
Yeah, I miss doing these. I haven't spoken to you on a stream like this. It's been a while. I do miss these. It's been a bit of sanity. Stuck in the office, same four walls every day. With our Birmingham office being shut until the end of January. So nice to speak to people, as it were, and obviously we'll talk about us getting on the road last week and doing that big podcast. But yeah, all's well down Cardiff tomorrow, Dan. So back in match action. Expecting a strong team down there. Around about 1,000 Villa fans going as well. Should be a good send off for Peter Whittingham as well.
Yeah, of course.
Very emotional down there, but looking forward to it tomorrow. See you and I and the boys, and yeah, back to some game time with Villa.
There's a few questions in the week actually. A lot of people asking how strong that side will be, and it sounds like it'll be pretty much the first team going down there or over there, wherever it is. I'll put down here. I'll do a little quick page of notes, but 27 days till we're back in action, being Boxing Day, competitive action, I guess. Cardiff tomorrow, and is it Villarreal on the
15th of December,
something like that. 15th. Yeah, you'll know better than me. Excited to get back to Boxing Day, to be honest. I've just been editing the second part of the Claret and Blue Live, and somebody asked about club over country, and I was like, club straight away. It's like I'm not really that bothered about the World Cup, although that was before the World Cup started, and now it is here. I'm watching most of the games.
Watching it later.
We'll watch it. Yeah, watched England, of course. Have you been watching? It's difficult for us because we're working during the day. Have you been watching all of the games?
Not really. I've been catching glimpses. I've watched a fair bit of Matty Cash in Poland. Just keeping an eye on him. Yeah, it's just hard, isn't it? It's overload. Like 4 games a day. I've got a little one now, so it's tough for me. But I've been watching as much as I can.
Well, we're here today saying about I kind of missed doing an online thing. I was checking, so I feel a little bit rusty, to be honest. The last one that me and Matt did together was the kind of behind the scenes of the Martin O'Neill podcast, and I wanted to do today the behind the scenes of the Neil Cutler podcast, which is kind of a bit of an excuse to get another episode out of a big podcast, because they, like you said, it's getting out there, it's getting out on the road, and it's a big deal to go and film those episodes. So it's worth kind of reflecting on what we learned, kind of thing.
Yeah.
First of all, before we kind of plug the episode, if anyone's not seen it, we split the Neil Cutler episode into 2 parts, a big exclusive sit-down interview, which was 1 hour, 31 minutes long, and a 15 quick-fire questions, which was 12 minutes. We posted that first, much like Gary Neville's overlap, doing a bit of a teaser, which was your idea as well, and a good idea to split it. But first of all, how did it come about? How did we get Neil Cutler on the podcast? Do you want to explain?
Yeah, so Neil follows me on Twitter. I don't know why, but he does, and I wanted to ask him about Aaron Danks, because I think he went out with a beer with him the other week. So what's happening with Aaron? He did so well at Villa, so highly regarded by the Villa fans. It was only a few weeks ago he was being lauded from the Holt End, and that 4-0 win against Brentford, and everything was brilliant. And for Aaron to take the team over them 2 fixtures was really good. I know we got battered up at Newcastle, but he really stood in at a time of need and really galvanised the group. And I wanted to know what's happening with Aaron Danks. Is he staying on? And so I asked Neil about that, and he said it's not his place to tell me, I guess. It's about Aaron, and I need to get in contact with Aaron's side. And I said to Neil, if you ever fancy coming on the podcast, let me know. And he said, yeah, anytime. And I said, okay, next week, any good? He goes, yeah, I've got all the time in the world now. So he penciled in a date, got him on WhatsApp, and he said, "That's whereabouts are you? By Bridge North, that kind of way." And next thing you know, I booked the golf club out in that lounge. It was quite noisy at times, but we booked it out. Got there early doors, then we done set up, and it went really well. And like I say, Neil was with us for over 2 hours, and he really was so generous with his time. And like I say, the episode come out really well. Could have asked him loads more, you know.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. In terms of the initial setting up, I said afterwards, like, as much as you've said, not even kind of passing, but, do you fancy a podcast at some point? It's almost like he initiated it to go, yeah, well, I'm free anytime. Let's do it next week. He could have gone, well, we'll see, maybe in the new year. And then it's one of those things that never happened. So it's kind of, he took the initiative to go, next week, free anytime. Let's do it. Let's pick a place. Let's go. So yeah, massive credit to him. I don't know what I've titled this, by the way, because we called the O'Neill one like, what was Martin O'Neill really like? A bit of intrigue about what his character was like, whereas everyone knows Neil Cutler's a nice guy, so this will be, why Neil Cutler is the nicest guy in football or something, is how I title this, I presume. Just a lovely bloke. Obviously, Bridgenorth is kind of my way, more so than yours, being in a Great Bar. I'm in Kiddie, so you've travelled over to my end. But yeah, it's nice to do it in person. Again, with these kind of things, it's easy to sit on a Zoom call or a StreamYard or whatever that we use and say, right, let's just do it like this. And you record for an hour and a half and you spend an hour and a half on it and that's it. And it just goes out and it's finished. It's nice to get the cameras out properly and go and film it and do it properly. And because we'd done the O'Neill thing either the week before or 2 weeks before, we did the Claret Blue Live thing also in the last few weeks. So we kind of got the bug a little bit now to do things properly, so to speak, rather than just do it the easy way out. But yeah, I think we went over there at like 8 a.m. or something, 8:30. We were going over, getting all set up. In terms of being nervous and stuff, how were you beforehand? Because usually it's Matt Kendrick that does the ex-player interviews. You did Gabby, which was over Zoom well over 2 years ago now, the start of the very first lockdown. I'd not done a sit-down interview. I was there for the O'Neill one, but obviously I was behind the scenes. So I'd not sat down in front of a former player and grilled them over anything before. So how were you in terms of nerves and things like that beforehand?
Well, I picked you up, then I said I'll drag you into this one. You can come in with me. So it's
which I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
I thought it'd just be better with us two chatting away. We could ask our own questions, what we wanted to know, as opposed to a one-on-one, me just peppering questions at him. More laid back, a bit chattier. It was fine. I knew Neil's great. I didn't know what to expect. I haven't done an in-person one for a while. You don't really get to do many of them. They all go to Sky Sports and BT and all the TV networks, whereas the local press don't really do anything like that, which is a shame. So for Neil to agree to that, I texted him yesterday as well just to thank him. I've had brilliant feedback.
Oh, good.
And he said he loved it. Thank you. Anytime. And he said I can call him later on the World Cup when Emmy's doing well, hopefully, and whatnot. So, it went really well. He's just a nice guy. Made it so easy for us, didn't he, Danny? He answered every question. Even between you stopping the record button and whatnot, he was sound and just chatting away about Michael Beale taking the Rangers job, this, that, and the other. And, yeah, just a genuinely nice guy. And do you know what? It's brilliant for us. I knew the feedback would be good. Fans love him. And just a little bit of intrigue behind the scenes. Been there 4 years, so he's seen the whole Championship to Premier League to where they are now. And yeah, like you say, he made it easy for us, and nothing was too much trouble for him. Like I say, he's with us for over 2 hours. Yeah, answered every question, put it in. Like I say, give us some really good insight into the dressing room and around Bodymoor Heath and the coaching staff and the players. So yeah, top job all round, Dan. So it's come out really well, and the Villa fans enjoy it. Yeah.
I think the way we filmed it, because it was just that you'd organised it, I just assumed it'd be you and him one-on-one, because we've always done the interviews as a one-on-one process rather than as a two-on-one. Yeah. You said the day before, a couple of days before, like, I think it'd be good to do it as a three. I think it'd be more conversational rather than a kind of sit-down Q&A. I think having, and this isn't by choice or anything, because it's just the way it's gone, but having O'Neill a couple of weeks before, which was very much sit-down opposite, very one-on-one. It's kind of Matt Kendrick versus Martin O'Neill, kind of having it out amongst each other. Yeah. Here's a question, here's an answer, here's a question. It's kind of worked nicely that the Cutler one followed that, because it was very much like, well, let's all just sit back, have a coffee, all chill out, ask a few questions. The preparation is very much the same. That we had loads of notes. I think we had 6 pages of questions or something. And we said to him when we started, we did O'Neill a couple of weeks ago, and we had to cut that short. How are you for time? Because we can kind of move things around. And he's like, all day, lads. Yeah. As long as you want, all day. Happy to sit here, which is music to our ears in the industry that we work in. That you're going to get good stuff out of it. And when you've spent all morning setting up, and I'm going to spend all night editing it and posting it over the following days, you want as much content as you can. I think we had 6 pages of the questions, and he kind of said before we started, ask me what you want. I said on air, and I said privately as well, like, I'm happy to be like the nosy one. I'll ask the questions that maybe aren't necessarily so easy. Was it awkward when Gerard left, stuff like that, which we could have skirted over, but I was interested. I wanted to ask for my own benefit and for the benefit of the podcast as well. And he said, yes, ask me whatever you like. Yeah. And I said, if we have to cut anything out and it gets awkward, we can. Don't worry about it. And he was like, no, it's fine. I'm happy to answer anything. Instead of talking about what we did ask, is there anything you feel like we should have asked that we didn't?
Probably the dynamic with Michael Beale leaving and Michael Beale's influence, given Emi Martinez's comments last year. We all seen that, what Martinez said. He said the assistant, which was Beale at the time, spoke more than Gerard, and he was like having two managers. So just that dynamic when Michael Beale left, and obviously Michael Beale's taken up the Rangers job now, which is incredible, really. So probably that.
I don't know why we didn't ask about that, to be honest, because we did the prep beforehand and we chat about what we were going to ask, and we kind of went through season by season, and we got to the summer. I think it's probably because we talked about the summer before, Kelly and John Terry leaving, and thought, well, he's kind of going to talk about this, how that disrupted the dressing room a little bit. He's probably going to answer the same kind of thing about Michael Beale, so we just kind of skimmed over it. But then in hindsight, almost as soon as we finished, I thought, probably should have asked about Michael Beale, to be honest. I don't know why we just left it. Yeah,
just went through the net, that one, and I think we spoke about Michael. I think it's because we spoke about Michael Beale off camera. Neil did about him being approached by Rangers, and he couldn't believe it at the time, and we were saying how Stephen would be feeling, and we spoke about Beale because the news was breaking just then. So perhaps off camera we spoke about it, and then we just forgot to mention it.
Yeah, possibly.
Beale's influence at Villa at the time, so probably that one.
And also, as much as like somebody sits there and says, I'm happy to answer everything, when you've also got 6 pages of notes and it's already 2 hours, like you can't really ask anything and take all day. It's only a turn of phrase to say, yeah, I've got all day. It doesn't actually mean he's going to sit there for 8 hours. So you are kind of semi-conscious when you're an hour in and you're only on 2020 and you've still got 2 more years to go, and Smith being sacked and Gerrard being sacked, that you kind of have to speed things up a little bit. So it wasn't like I've got Michael Beale on my head, but I'm going to put that to one side because I've got time restraints. But at the end, you kind of think, I probably should have asked this and should have asked that, but we also can't take the mick. The other thing I thought about afterwards is, because I think you said that he'd worked with 13 goalkeepers at Villa, including our youth players as well.
Yeah.
We probably should have done something like a little line on each of them, because there were a few comments saying, like, I'd love to know what happened with Kalinic.
Yeah, Kalinic.
Like signing him and then basically never playing and then disappearing. Like, we should have asked him about individual players. Obviously, very Martinez heavy. He's still the number one, so that's what fans want. Very Jed Steer heavy in places because he was the promotion goalkeeper.
Yeah.
A little bit on Neelan with the ghost goal, but nothing really on Kalinic or a little bit on Peperina. Kalinic was the only one that we really missed of the first team players, which, again, not by choice, not by design, just skimmed over him because he didn't do anything for Villa, I guess, really. So, why take up time? A question on a player that's not really worth talking about, but that's also a story. What happened to him? What went wrong?
He was highly regarded at the time, wasn't he? Dean Smith's first signing, £5.5 million, I think it was. He was meant to sign under Remy Gard as well, so transfer that was in the pipeline for a while at Villa. And it'd be nice to quick fire questions at Neil. Martinez, we spoke about him. Kalinic, what happened there? Steer. Do you know what I mean? Just fire the keepers at him, because he spoke so well of Robin Olsen, didn't he? He really did. Liked him behind the scenes. He's really good for Emi Martinez, backing him up and being his support network as well. So perhaps should have fired the goalkeepers at him, just one-liners. Even like, I think he had Andre Moreira. Remember him, the Spaniard? He had him for a couple of months before he left in January as well. So many keepers. Sarkic he had as well, good young keeper. I made a list as well. There's 14 keepers he had working during his time at Villa. So, perhaps should have done that. But, maybe next time, huh?
Yeah, well, he did say at the end, like, happy to come on again and have another chat. And I was almost thinking, there's nothing else to ask him about. Like, we're not going to go through his career again. We've kind of done it. But, just getting him on to chat about current day Villa would be interesting as well. Like, if Martinez has had a blinder against somebody, get the former goalkeeper coach on and how he'll be feeling in the dressing room. So it's different insight for us. Obviously, we've done a lot of ex-player interviews over the years, and they've been ex-players in terms of 80s, 90s, early 2000s. We've not had anyone from the current day era apart from Gabby or Brighton, but even then you're going back 10 years with some of those. We've not had anybody since the promotion era in terms of players or staff for various reasons. There was one comment saying something like, typical Birmingham Mail getting the story late with Neil Cutler. It's like, only left like 3 weeks ago. What do you want us to do? Like, not like he's done loads of press in the last few weeks. He's done a couple of stories with The Athletic, I think, and obviously done our podcast now. And he did the Ben Foster one as well. But, it's just restraints of a player or a staff member that is currently employed by the club is more difficult to get than a person who's no longer employed by the club and has more time to do these things. So, I was more than happy to get that insight into an era that we've not really spoken about before And we've said for a long time, like, we want people on from that promotion era, players like Albert Adoma or Robert Snodgrass, James Chester, like that kind of era of player would be interesting. So to get that insight from a coach that was there for that period of time and afterwards as well in the Premier League years that followed is different for us to get that. And I think it was important for us to have that kind of voice on the channel as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He took charge of the first team a few weeks ago as well. So, yeah, really good. He was there 4 years, seen it all. Seen it all. And like I said, I think the job well done from you putting the podcast together as it is, and the feedback's been brilliant. So, on to the next one, hopefully.
Away from things we've not talked about, what was the biggest takeaway from you? Things we did talk about. What did you like the most?
Just how easy it was. Just how easy it was to speak to a former employer of Villa, because obviously we don't get that much access to it at all. So just how easy it was, how laid back it was. Just there to have a crack, really. And just that element of it, having you alongside me as well was good, and just that dynamic that we all got on. Had a good, nice little morning together, just chewing the fat, and yeah, like I say, it come across really well. But the big takeaway, great guy, nice guy, nothing too much trouble for him. You get that perception, don't you? With some interviews you might do, they might not fancy it, or you know what I mean. The back and forth ain't as good, but Neil was great guy, and give us everything we wanted and more, really. So just how easy it was to chat to him and to get the answers we wanted.
Yeah, the thing I'm always concerned about with these kind of things, especially when I'm behind the camera, and that's my sole job for the day, is obviously getting the footage and the audio right for the podcast, because it's all well and good you and me having a good chat with him, but if it doesn't sound or look good for the, I think 8,000 people or something have seen it, that's the main thing. So I'm always a little bit nervous about. I'm always a little bit nervous about the setup of it, but it's like the little bits. It's less about like the actual camera or the microphone or whatever. It's like the process of that. Like, are they going to get annoyed at me keep getting up to change the cameras? Are they going to be annoyed if something happens? Like, I went to shut the door at one stage that we had like semi-open because it got noisy in the room next door with them watching the World Cup, and it pulled out a plug that was connected to the audio and the lights, and everything went off. Yeah, and someone could go, "Oh God, like, this is going to take time to sort out." Whatever, and he was like, not bothered at all. Kind of said, "Take time, don't worry about it." We just got. There's a 30-minute recording, or you know about this, but I'm trying to explain. There's a 30-minute recording limit on the camera, so every 30 minutes you have to get up, start and stop them again. And again, that's a bit of a process to go, all right, just let me interrupt everything and stand up and go and deal with it all. Yeah. And we just reset it. So I think we were 1 or 2 minutes into like the next 30-minute period when the plug came out and the audio machine went off and that file got corrupted. I didn't tell you about this at the time because I didn't realise afterwards. But so that like 1 or 2 minutes we did got like deleted. So if it had happened before that 30-minute cut-off period, the whole 30 minutes would have got deleted. And we would have had to have said like, oh, we've lost the first half. Like, nightmare. Can we do it again? Or so I think you'd asked one question about Pepe Reina in that first minute section, and I said like, oh, that 1 minute isn't going to work or whatever. Like, we'll have to do that again. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, as long as you laugh at my jokes or whatever at the second time around. So all that was a little bit, could have been a little bit tense, but he's again such a nice guy that it wasn't a problem. And as we're trying to do all that and we're changing the plug sockets around and stuff, one of the lights starts to creak forward and bend as you're pulling the cable, and I kind of see it going and go, oh, Ash, the light. Neil Cutler's got to be 6 foot away or something where his seat is, where the light is, and he just kind of leaped about his seat, one big left hand onto it and grabs this light stand, and the light like this far from smashing off the table, which would have been a costly replacement to me to sort. But yeah, nice to have the goalkeeper in the room actually pull his finger out and make a great save like that in safe hands. Yeah. But yeah, it's just those little things of the process of making a podcast, where somebody who comes in and doesn't know the process of doing it might think, oh, why is this taking 5 minutes to transfer a file over? Or why is it going to take 5 minutes to switch the cameras around or whatever? And why is this taking my time? I don't want to be here. But kind of sat back with his feet up and you and him just chat away. And it was good that there was 3 of us from that perspective, that while I went away and did production stuff, you chat about Michael Beale or whatever it was away from the podcast as well. So lovely guy. If you've not seen it, of course, if you're watching this and think, what the hell, there's 2 videos, 15 quickfire questions with Neil Cutler, and the exclusive Neil Cutler on promotion with Dean Smith, Steven Gerrard, and leaving Aston Villa. Well worth an hour and 45 minutes of your time at some point. The idea to split them in two, by the way, again, was your idea. Why? Why did you want to do the bonus episode?
Just, I don't know, really. Maybe I should have done the keepers now. You know what I mean? The quickfire one should have been the keepers. We could have done it that way. 15 keepers. One word answers, or just the verdicts on all the keepers he worked with, maybe. But just to split it up, to tease it as well. Throw the teaser out there, get people wanting more for the full episode, and like you say, it worked out all right. Got the human element of Neil. What's he like as a person?
I think it's nice to ask the questions about personal life and stuff as well, more so than football ones at that stage. Yeah,
what's he like as a bloke, and what's he like doing? Just a bit of flavour, really, but a bit of added content for you.
But again, we filmed that at the end, and we were kind of doing the outro for the main podcast. And right, thanks for your time, Neil. You've been very generous with your 2 hours so far. Thanks for coming along, etc.
Yeah.
Cut camera. Oh, sorry, Neil, before we let you go, we've got another quick fire question you want to do. And he was like, fine, don't worry, I've got all day. He said that loads of times, I've got all day, which is music to our ears, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
So those podcasts are both available on YouTube, Spotify, Acast, wherever you get your podcast from. Like I said, if you've not seen it yet, I'm going to roll a quick trailer now. It's 2 minutes long, so Ash, if you want to have a breather for a sec, here's the social trailer for the Neil Cutler podcast.
When Aston Villa comes calling and Dean Smith comes calling, I just had to move forward. I had to move on to it. I understood the size of Aston Villa, the size of the football club, the direction it was heading. It was a no-brainer for me and the family. The best part of him is his emotional control is unbelievable. Like, you win, you lose, you draw, he's the same person. He's a people person. His personality is first class. If you don't get that club promoted, you're under pressure again. So the pressure amongst the players and amongst the staff to get it promoted was huge. When you're on that kind of run, you feel a little bit unbeatable. Once we beat West Brom, we were never going to lose. Never going to lose. At the time, you look at Dean, and Dean was just like,
ice cold.
Ice cold, like ice cold. And I was like, oh my God. Like I'm looking around the stadium and all our fans are going, if we mess this up now, oh my God. Straight to dressing room. I think I must have smashed about 3 or 4 bottles down my neck in the space of about 2 minutes. And then we went to the Hilton and then had a great night. We had a band on. And
do you remember it?
Bits of it. It was a free bar, so I remember to a certain amount. I think Ty has been better through not being the captain. I think he's just dealt with himself. Different with Guinea. Guinea's played in positions where he probably hasn't flourished. It's probably not his favourite position. But what Guinea does, he just gets on with it, doesn't moan.
How do you find out about it? Does he come in the room, so lads up and
it was a tough one for Steve, because he was told at the game, so we were on the bus coming back.
Is that awkward?
Not really so much awkward, it's just disappointment, really. Disappointing at how the game turned out. Disappointment, that the manager's lost his job. I don't think the fans saw how driven he actually was to win games. Massively driven, wanted to, desperate to win. I don't think we got to see the best of Steven Gerrard. Obviously, devastated to leave the football club. What I'd built over 4 years was working brilliantly. The young boys coming through, the way Emmy was performing, everybody was developing really well. But that's football.
That's class, that is.
You kind of forget what was in there, because obviously I've not watched it back in full because I edited it, and you kind of watching it in fits and starts. And we recorded that. Was it last Thursday? Was it?
Last Thursday, yeah.
So I kind of remember it from being there, but I've not seen it back. So watching the trailer for it makes me go, oh yeah, this was us and this was us, which was bizarre because I was there. When we were saying before about how much of a nice guy he was, I knew, and we'd prepped it beforehand, that I wanted to ask about the night Gerald was sacked and the story that he was on the bus home with them and all that kind of thing. And the stupid fan question in my head is that awkward? And I was a little bit wary that if he's not a nice guy, Neil Cutler, which I knew he would be, but if he doesn't quite take to the interview so far, how do I ask that? Is that going to tip him over the edge to go, right, lads, that's a step too far. A guy's lost his job. Can we kind of cut that and move on?
Yeah.
But he answered it and he said, no, it wasn't awkward. This is what happened. This is what it was like. Yes, a man's lost his job, but this. And it's, we're already a fair way in at that point. But like I said earlier, he was never at a stage where he said, I'm not going to answer that or don't ask me this because I don't want to talk about it. So, lovely guy. And like I said, the full episode will be linked down below, as well as the quick fire questions. Just quickly before I let you go, like you said, it's the Cardiff game tomorrow. You go into that, like you reporting on it.
Yeah, going to that. Yeah, doing that one, 7:30 kickoff. So, no post-match. I won't be speaking to the coaching staff or anything like that. So, yeah, down there, live blog, player ratings and whatnot, and little tidbits from behind the scenes, what's going on, team news and all that jazz. So, yeah, probably speak to you whenever.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll do like a post-match podcast or anything tomorrow night or anything, but we'll have a chat at some point about the talking points, maybe on Friday. Maybe you and John could do something. I've got a little mini schedule for the next few days. So obviously this is out today on Tuesday. We've got this Fans Football of the Year thing happening tomorrow, which has been launched today. We've done it every year that I've worked at the company so far, picking the best 4 Villa players of the calendar year, which, let's face it, it's slim pickings this calendar year. But
who do you have done?
I think Martinez probably wins it, doesn't he? Just as being consistent.
Who's in the cluster, would you say?
Well, I spoke to John about this morning. We've got a short list. I don't know when we've got to decide this, by the way. I don't know whether it's tomorrow or whether it's already been decided.
Yeah.
But I'd have said
short list?
Martinez, Cash, Mings, more so for this season. Louise, maybe? Ramsey?
Yeah, I've got...
Sure.
I've got the 5 here. I've got is Martinez. I haven't got Cash. I've got Martinez, Douglas Luiz, Tyrone Mings, Jacob Ramsey, and Ashley Young. 5.
Ashley Young, yeah. Ashley Young's a shout. Yeah, not thought about him.
It's tough, isn't it, really? From January.
It's tough because it's been a rubbish year, effectively. Yeah. So it's hard to go, here's the 5 best performing Villa players, because they've not been the best performing, but this is just something we have to do as part of a wider kind of initiative. And we'll talk about it tomorrow, and I think John's hosting it. I think it might be either John and you, or all 3 of us chatting through it. It depends on how busy my editing day is tomorrow. But that's tomorrow. The second part of Claret and Blue Live is Thursday, which is the Q&A section that we did. When I put the footage in this morning to edit through, I think it was an hour and 5 minutes the Q&A lasted for, which, that's a big chunk of a podcast itself. I've edited through the first 20 minutes or so I'm editing that tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah,
I've got a clip from that I wanted to play as well, to kind of tease that. It's well worth your time. There's loads of kind of varying questions asked about the industry, favourite Villa players, stuff about the future of the podcast, and interview guests and stuff like that. So definitely worth your time on Thursday. I think that'll come out, and then we'll kind of do another behind the scenes of the live event next week and talk about the money that we've raised and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So here's a question that was asked to you, Ash, about the kind of pressures of working as the Villa reporter for the Birmingham Mail.
Very emotional in that sense. I'm a Villa fan, very proud to be in this job. So yeah, it does affect you a lot. It's your life. It takes over your life. So yeah, a lot of pressure to deal with. Like I say, the social media side of things as well. I'll come off social media tomorrow, but I'm there for you, and like you say, we asked the questions for you as well. But the Grealish stuff affected me quite badly as well. I was went in 2-footed too strongly. The fan of me coming out, I was hurt as well at the time, and that affected me mentally as well. I didn't need to do that. You live and learn. I've only been in the job now, my 4th season, so fairly new to it. But yeah, the Grealish stuff did affect me. I was probably too strong, I don't know. But you learn by your mistakes, don't you? And that's where I am. So, but yeah, very emotional being the Villa reporter, being a big Villa fan. Used to be in the other room, my dad. This eye, yeah, remember it like yesterday. So, and to be here now, very emotional. Yeah, you get me going in a minute.
I love it. It's a little bit after that where Matt's like, suck it up, mate, or something like that. Yeah. Like, get over yourself or something. I don't know whether that'll stay in the final edit or not, but it made me chuckle. Nice sentiments though. And like I said, that Q&A episode will be out on Thursday, which is that the 1st of December? Yeah, 1st of December. Kind of, this is how we're filling our World Cup break, trying to get through it as best we can. But yeah, if you subscribe to the Can't Be YouTube channel, you'll be the first to see these kind of things appear. So if you can do that, that'd be lovely. There's a lot of nice feedback, a lot of nice comments that we all very much appreciate, especially me and Ash being like the hosts of that interview. It's the first one we've done, so it's nice not to see any negative comments going, get Matt Kendrick back, this was rubbish. There's loads of people that really enjoyed it, which is great for us as well. Thanks again to Neil Cutler for helping us out with the interview and being so generous with his time. Ash, thanks to you for joining me this afternoon for half an hour to kind of look back on the last week. And thanks to the people that have watched along as well. Like I said, there's a couple of things coming up for the rest of the week, so stay tuned for those. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your thoughts and comments. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.